Aloha, I'm Brandon Lau, a partner with Cheney Brooks Choice Advisors, and I wanted to share with you information that will provide you some insight into the market for 2019. We realize that as a client, we want you to have the best information so you can make the most informed decisions, and so we hope that this forecast will help you do just that. 2019 is going to be a great year because of the fact that it's going to be an even market for both buyers and sellers. We've had a run of the market from 2011 all the way till 2018 with appreciation in both single-family and condominium categories. Now, back from the days of 2008, where we had the first-time homebuyer tax credit, until now, this has been one of the longest run-ups in the market in history. When you take a look at the state of Hawaii overall, we've seen increases throughout all islands for single-family homes. Now, although we've had an increase in number of sales up until 2017, you do see a slight dip in 2018 for single-family homes throughout the state. And you can see in the latter part of 2018, we've had a retreat in the market, which is showcasing a slowdown for single-family home sales. Condominiums throughout the state has had a similar run with increases for all islands, although you didn't have the same slowdown in 2018 as you did for single-family homes. And the reason is because condominiums are at a more affordable price point, and so you still have a lot of buyers out there for that type of product. However, you also see, maybe towards the latter end of 2018, a slight decline in the number of sales for condominiums throughout the state. Now, when we take a look at the island of Oahu, we see a great increase in home values since 1985. And in fact, if you take straight line average appreciation for the last 40 years, you had a 5 to 6% annual appreciation for both single-family homes and condominiums. And it follows a staircase-like pattern. Now, looking at the number of sales, we see the chart is a bit different. You see more of a cyclical pattern as the number of sales increase and decrease depending on where we are in the cycle. Now, when we have an overlay of the price appreciation and the number of sales, we're going to see a very interesting trend. And that is, there's going to be first a change in number of sales before we see any change in price. For example, you'll see a decrease in number of sales before the price goes down, and of course an increase in number of sales before the median price goes up. And so knowing that at the tail end of 2018, we started to see a decline in the number of sales, that's giving us the idea that perhaps prices are soon to follow. When we take a look at the island of Oahu, according to region, we see also the same trend happening. And that is, anytime you have a red number, that means there's been a decrease in number of sales for single-family homes. So according to this chart here, you see that there's been only 2 areas in Kailua and Hawaii Kai where we had an increase in number of sales for single-family homes. All the rest of the regions had a decline. For condominiums, it's a similar trend, although the areas in which you had an increase in number of sales were in Leeward, Oahu, and the Ewa Plain. All the other regions of the island had a decrease in number of sales. Now, what's interesting is when you take a look at total volume of sales by region, there is going to be a mixed bag. In other words, since we are seeing a change in the market, we're seeing some areas where they had an increase, but most areas where they had a decrease for single-family home sales and the volume of home sales. And in this chart, you also see a decrease in total volume for condominium sales. However, there's fewer areas with a decrease because, again, condominiums are still in demand since it's a more affordable price point. So as a homeowner, you may have the question, well, why don't I feel like the market is changing? After all, prices are still going up. The assessed valuation I received from the City and County Tax Office is higher than last year. So how can you say that the market is changing? Well, the reason is because the number of sales happens first before we have a change in price. Now, when we take a look at the average sales price for condominiums by region, you are going to see the same trend as single family in that there's been an increase overall. The only slight difference is that in Kaka'ako, because of all the high-end condo sales in 2017, you did have a decrease from 2017 to 2018. And of course, in Hawaii Kai, you had a slight decrease for condominium average prices as well. Now, it's important to know where your buyers are coming from. As a home seller, you want to know this because you want to find out who you're going to market your property to. And if you're a buyer, you're going to find out who your competition is. Now on this chart, you see here that if it's a red number, that means there's a decrease in number of sales between 2017 and 2018. And if it's a green number, that means there's an increase. Interestingly, between 2017 and 2018, there's been a decline in the number of local buyers, but an increase in the number of offshore and international buyers. So there's an interesting trend, and I think it, again, continues to signal a change in the market. Now, if you're wondering where the big fish are swimming and what they're buying, the usual suspects are on the map. You have the highest number of luxury sales in Kahala, in Diamond Head, and also in beachside Kailua. Oahu still has the majority of luxury sales for all the islands. When you take a look at condominium sales and where the high-end sales are happening, the same neighborhoods are in view. We have here Kakako, Ala Moana, and also Waikiki. When we take a step back to see how the luxury market is doing over the past few years, it'll be interesting to note that you did have a peak in number of sales for all the different categories in 2017. It's not surprising knowing that high-end sales tends to lead the way of change in the market. As far as the rental market goes, we also see a mixed bag. There are both increases and decreases in average rents in different regions throughout Oahu. This also shows that we are entering a changing market because the rental rates tend to follow the actual sales rates. And so when you have a change in the number of sales, you also have a change in the rental market. The silver lining in all of this is that although we have a changing market, interest rates are still low. And according to the last meeting with the Fed, they don't expect to change short-term rates until the midsummer. So I think we're going to see stable rates in the mid 4% between now and the summertime. However, rates could reach 5% by the end of the year. So what's the big prediction for 2019? Well, we're going to see an increase in inventory as prices start to soften in different areas of the island, and you see a more lateral move in the market. This means if you're a buyer, you can be a lot more creative with how you're making offers. And for sellers, it means that yes, you are still in a good market, but you must be aware there's going to be more competition as the inventory increases. So be creative with how you're marketing your property and be aware of how you're pricing it to be within reason and attract those buyers. So that's your market forecast for 2019, and thank you for watching.